Hey guys, welcome to my resto shaman guide for Ara Kara. I will be going over trash as well, so without further ado, let's get started. First of all, make sure you take poison cleansing totem because there will be a lot of poisons in this dungeon. If you don't have a prop paladin tank, you most likely want to take wind rush totem with the jet streams talent as well, so you can help break them out of the slow at the end of the dungeon. So in the beginning, you definitely want to wind rush your tank over. I used my wind rush and then I moved it further up so he could use it twice. I popped my poison cleansing totem there, and now that poison cleansing totem is 2 minutes, it's pretty valuable to save your totemic recall for it in this dungeon. I used Spirit Link here because I didn't have my poison cleansing and I didn't want whoever had the poison to die. Make sure you kick all the bolts here. If people get double bolted, they will just die. If you can, I would advise you to save your Spirit Link for the second mini boss because the AoE there really hurts. But if you really have to use it on the first bolt and you're doing the entire hallway, it's worth to use it to keep people alive. And then here you can just use smaller healing CDs if you don't have your poison cleansing totem up, but you want to save at least one big one for the second mini boss. Got my Ascendance proc there, so I didn't have to pop the actual Ascendance. That was good. Just keep track of your high tide and your tidal waves procs, so you can be ready to heal whoever has the poison if you can't cleanse them. Outside of that, there's not much to heal, so I'm just helping DPS. So this AoE definitely hurts the most out of anything else in this dungeon. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So you definitely want your DPS to pop their personals on here. The best you can do outside of Spirit Link is to pop Ascendance, but it's not going to save people if they're being one-shot within 2 seconds. So this mini boss is the least deadly. The poison bolt he sends only goes out on the tank. So if you're limited on kicks, you want to prioritize kicking other things such as the attendant, because the poison bolt that only goes on the tank should not be deadly. There is a safe spot behind the mini boss if you don't want to get frontaled, but you really have to be careful because sometimes a green swirly can spawn behind there, which is what happened to us, and unfortunately the DK died. I usually don't really care about hiding back there and I let my DPS go back there because I don't want to increase the chances of a swirly spawning behind there. So for this boss, you just want to have a CD up for every single one of these AoEs. For the first one, I dropped my Healing Tide, and my AUG also used Zephyr, but just Healing Tide should be enough to keep them up. For this dance, you can save one of your healing streams and then drop it when people are lower, so that you can get that instant chain heal proc off while you're moving. You can also use your Spirit Walker's Grace if you really have to hardcast chain heals, but you shouldn't need to. As totemic, just healing streams and healing range should be enough. So on this one, I dropped my Surging Totem and used Downpour, which was enough to get my group through it, and then you have plenty of time to top people before the next AoE. So I popped Ascendance for this one, and you don't have to worry too much about topping people right away. As long as they don't die to that initial damage, you have plenty of passive healing to get them back up before the next mechanic goes out. As you can see on that one, I delayed my healing stream and dropped it in the middle of that movement so people would get a bit of HP back before the next tick. For this trash, you just want to kick, especially right before a slime goes out. If people get targeted by the bolts and the slime, they can die very easily. If you want, you can use your Downpour right before that slime goes out to give people bonus HP, but if they're not going to get one shot by it, you can use your Downpour after to heal them back up. And aside from that, just make sure you watch your tank, because if you're getting every kick off, there's no other damage going out. The assistants can hurt when they're not soothed, so just be careful. Then there's not much healing to do here outside of getting people topped. So you can see the mage got bolted right as the slam went out and almost died. But aside from keeping people topped, you just want to help DPS. As long as you do all the stops properly, you should not have that much damage going out. But if there are bolts flying out, all you need to do is just pop more of your healing CDs and DPS less, heal more. Once again, not much to do on this trash except help DPS. You can definitely do a lot of damage if you're focusing on using your flame shocks, chain lightning on AoE, and your free lava bursts. So here, since the DK strat got fixed, we're using the Evoker Mount Rescue strat to skip that trash pack. It's just more efficient to do trash this way for count because that pack is very inefficient. Just watch the tank on the opener because they will get an infest immediately and they are usually weak on the opener. Make sure you Riptide to keep your tidal waves procs up and lava burst often to keep your Master of Elements procs up. As long as you do that, you should have very strong healing surges, and you should not have an issue topping people off with the infest. It is a bit tricky when you're moving with the circle, but if you really need to, you still have your Nature's Swiftness or your Spirit Walker's Grace for emergencies. And the packs following aren't that dangerous, so if you really need to, you can Spirit Link. Like if your DPS makes a mistake and walks into the circle, gets the debuff and the dot at the same time, the only way to really save them is Spirit Link. Watch for kicks on the ads. If you're the only range kick, you definitely want to kick ads in during this circle phase. You can use your Surging Totem and Downpour to give people more max HP so that it makes it easier for you to heal them. Just tiny things that will help you heal on single target. Aside from that, you're not really doing much, you're just helping DPS. If you get the charge, you can time your Gust of Wind so that you don't get hit by the frontal. Time your Gust of Wind for when the charge finishes casting, because if you do it too early, it will just turn around and still cast on you, but once it finishes casting is when it locks in the positioning and it will not chase you. This is the trash where your tank gets slowed by almost 100%. So if they need you to break them out with jet streams, be aware of that. So on that first one, he got rescued out by the Evoker, and if they really need to, they can survive one of those circles. They will just die if there are too many of them going out. So we usually go on the left or right for the other trash, but this time we wanted to try the middle. So we got the hauler. It's pretty dangerous here because the damage stacks up and the carriers overlap as well. So you want to try to stop them right before the slam goes out to reduce your chances of being charged during the AoE. You can use your downpour right before. As you can see on that AoE, I used my downpour right before the slam went out and barely lived. Once the guys that charge are dead, you should be safe, and as long as you can live the one shot, you shouldn't be in danger. Just make sure you kick the Blood Overseers so that the Venom Volley doesn't go off, but if it does, you still have your Poison Cleansing Totem for backup. Here is an example of us going left and doing this trash instead. It is better to take them down the stairs because there's a lot more room. So as you can see, there's circles going out. We tried to bait them on the ledge as much as possible for a tank on that first one, and it worked really well. Be ready to CC and kick. There it is again, we baited on the ledge, but if there is a bad round of circles, you want to wind rush your tank with the Jetstream talent to break them out of the slow so that they can get out of the circle very easily. So for this boss, you have Poison Cleansing Totem for every other poison. If you want, you can recall one of them so that you can get 2 back to back, but not really a big deal. I like to alternate because I want to use my healing CDs for every other set of poisons. If you have melee in your group, tell them to pre-spread because the Poison Cleansing Totem cleanses people randomly, so whoever's in melee can get insta-killed by the waves if they're cleansed by the totem immediately. So here's my Poison Cleansing Totem once again, just keeping people tops in between. So I dropped my Healing Tide on that one because I didn't use my Poison Cleansing Totem. This fight's not really that dangerous as long as people don't die to the poisons and you do the mechanics properly. Be careful when dodging waves because if you get cleansed right as you dodge, you can run into your own poison wave and die. You can live this suck with Gust of Wind if you time it properly. So the Cosmic Singularity only goes off right at the end of the cast, so you just want to time your Gust of Wind to go out right before the end of that, if there are no puddles available. Your chain heals should reach everyone on this fight because of the Tidebringer talent, so I usually use healing CDs, chain heal, and you can also talent into Torn if you want a little more burst healing on your Riptides. Outside of that, keep healing rain down on the boss so that he heals melee and does a little more damage. On top of that, use your flame shocks, lava bursts, and lightning bolts to help DPS the boss. And that's it. Thank you guys once again for watching. If you have any other questions, leave it down in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching, make sure you check out my other guides and other videos on this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you guys in my next video.